Composing Gloves here, and today we're going to talk about risers with Sytrus. So, okay, you probably know what a riser is. If you don't, real quick, a riser is one of those things that builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then bang, your drop hits, or bang, something hits, or nothing happens and you fooled everyone. I really like the risers that get up and up and up and up and up, and then they don't do anything. And they go back to the song. Those are so anticlimactic and boring. So, this is like, for example, here's one, a really basic one, and then we're going to build from here and sort of look at more things you can do with Sytrus in particular that can kind of make some special risers. So riser usually is something like this. Play that. And so it does that, it goes, woo, it rings out and does all these cool things. So one quick cool tip about this is, so the first one, this is a Reese rise. It's not technically a Reese right now because Reese is normally more distorted, but you could detune one from, you could put one out and another one out and detune one slightly from the other. And as they get higher, their hertz, the logarithmic nature of hertz will put them closer and closer together to our ears. And then we will perceive them as going faster. And so it'll sound like things are speeding up as we get higher in pitch. I'm going to make them saw waves. Make one saw wave, one a triangle wave. Ooh, this will be interesting. I'm going to turn them up. Just, it hurt my ears. These sine waves were just too loud. So if we put them closer together, it's more easily discernible when they are very similar waveforms. And let's make one low. And that's a Reese, so you can hear the Reese on that. Whoa, we arrived somewhere. So that's one cool thing you could do. Another cool thing. We could FM this. That's pretty cool. So what we're going to do there is we're going to turn our mod X to control, not the pitch. Ooh, bad idea. We're already doing pitch movements, by the way, using slide notes. So if you don't know about how to do some of this, it's how to make your first song in FL12. So it's a series I'm talking about of videos. So now volume, I don't want volume. What the heck do I keep setting it up? I want it to control the mod. So here, this controls the modulation of X. And so as we move X, the modulation will turn on. So first we need to put down our pattern. Then we need to create a modulation control. And so before it was speeding up, that was pretty cool by itself. But now it'll like be introduced as we go. So it'll start off way slower and then really get wild at the end. Whoa. Did I hook up the right thing? One mod. Yeah, I did. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Okay, so let's do this with 2 as well. And 3. I did it in a sort of parallel fashion, so it's a little weird. Whoa, that sounds way weird in the middle. Now, I didn't pay conscious attention to what knobs I was turning. I just do. I want to choose a sine wave against a sine wave. So that already creates this weird click relationship because it technically never changes because it's totally linear. But then we have 3, which is modulating. Okay, so let's make a little bit of a conscious realization of what we're doing real quick because I'm not the biggest fan of doing things randomly, especially during patch creation. But occasionally you can afford it if you know enough. So I have a saw wave coming out, and we know about our FM relationship of saw wave. And so that's going straight out, right? It's a ratio of 2, so it's 1 octave. And here we have 2 modulating 2. Well, 2 is modulating 1, and so 2 is a saw wave. So a saw wave is modulating a saw wave, which basically creates more saw waves. And because they just keep resetting, so it's not like other sidebands are being introduced in any sort of like wobble fashion. Any sidebands that are introduced are now just there. So poof, out of nowhere, sidebands from our saw wave. And that's at a ratio of 2. So that's why that's affecting our sound. And then 3 is a sine wave being put out. and it's being put out, and it's got a ratio, sort of a funny ratio to R2, and we could even make this a saw wave, but that will change the FM if we do that. And I like the FM where it's at, and I like the sound pretty much for where it's at, so I don't want to change anything. But if we changed it, our sidebands would be even cleaner, so we might do that right after this. So here's our sound now with our more conscious realization in case something is there that we don't like. Man, that is a pretty dynamic riser right there. That's pretty dope. I like it. So let's make it arrive right here. So then let's make this, I want to show you the difference with a saw wave. So here we go. So that's the difference. As I told you, sidebands would just appear out of nowhere. It sounds much more like a helicopter coming off. Now, this should be no news to you if you've watched my Learn FM synthesis. If you haven't, go check it out. If you know what FM synthesis and how it is and what it does, then it's no surprise to you. So that's that. So that's the basic riser type ideas. So you can make them lower. You can start out even by a separate sound by itself. That's pretty darn cool. That's just weird. So, yeah. I would totally use that in a track. Like, that's just dank. Oh, that's my Control S habit. Sytrus riser. So I like to keep the templates just in case for whatever reason I need to go back to them. This is the beta though. I'm not sure after the beta ends if I'll ever be able to go back to any of these, but I've tried opening up the beta files in FL 12.2, which is not beta, and it says, warning, like we might not be able to open this, and it's been able to open them thus far. So I'm not too worried about it. I actually produced an entire track in this. I like the beta. It works better than, because when I installed the beta, I had a shared registry with the 12.2 and it caused issues with 12.2. So the beta actually works better than the released version, which is kind of funny. But that's their goal, right? So the goal accomplished. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day. Hey, Composer Gloves here, and this is another video on the sound and synth basics. Today we're going to talk about dB full scale really briefly just to move on, and I'm going to recommend you to go check out my digital audio series. If it's not up yet, go check out the DSP one. Eventually one day that'll be replaced and they'll both be up and it'll be great. So here we have my mixer.